Now we are
Something
technically
will break.
live. Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. Ladies and gentlemen, now for your viewing pleasure, we are live with Ken Barrios from KeyBravo Leadership. And I also want to pull this up. Hi, Ken. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, Ken Barrios. I started a coaching company, right? KeyBravo Leadership Development. I'm super passionate about building leaders at the end of the day. I truly believe, like on a more fundamental level, that we need more people to kind of like take up the mantle. Otherwise, we're all doomed. So that's my deep down true passion.
So the mantle of what? When you say the mantle, what exactly do you mean by that?
Like the scepter, the willingness to take the responsibility of whatever it is in front of them. A lot of people just kind of like walk by the problem, right? No, very few people like stop and go, I'm going to solve this problem, even though it's not my job to do so. They make it their job. And like having the attitude to assume responsibility is really what I mean by like taking up the mantle. Because you got to take it.
Well, what do you feel the problem is?
Oh, you name it. I mean, which one? Like the one where we're doomed, or the little ones that happen every day?
Well, when I was in the military, I know that you're still in the military, but when I was in the military, we had this thing called the pronoun platoon. People would come up and they would say, well, somebody messed this up, or something like that, or something happened to cause this, right? So I would always try and get like quantifiable knowledge from my Joes to say, when you say somebody or something or this or that, you need to let me know. So when you're saying the problem, then it's automatically assumed that the problem that you think exists is the same problem that I think exists in the conversation. So to clarify that, I want to know which problems you're referring to when you say people walk by the problem.
Well, okay. So I guess there's two bits there, right? There's people walk by problems all day. Little things, picking up trash, to seeing something that could be fixed, but they're like, somebody else will get that. It's the little micro moments that are the little problems throughout the day that people are not willing to take responsibility for, because they're assuming somebody else's deal or job or whatever. Now, the problem, what I like to call the doomed problem, right, is that we as a species need to get off this planet. Otherwise, we're going to consume the whole thing and us in it. So like when I say the problem, that's the problem I'm referring to. And we need a metric butt ton, technically, and the wine that goes with, of leaders to help propel humanity into a spacefaring race.
So do you think that it's a problem with population growth, or the way we treat the planet as a species? Is there a way to reverse it without going off the planet?
No, we're screwed. So yeah, sure, right? Dramatic population depopulation would happen. That would solve a lot of issues real fast. Thermonuclear war, right? The Earth will shake that off eventually. We won't. But the Earth will shake it off. I'm not so worried about like massive pollution and all that stuff. Earth will shake that off too, right? Go to any place, any city that people abandoned, and go back within like 10 years, 100% overgrown. Nature is ferocious. It will reclaim with the ferocity. So like, I don't feel like we're hurting the planet. I think we're hurting ourselves, right? Constantly. We're the ones that are going to drink poisoned water, not the planet. The planet don't care, right? The planet will purify it and handle it, right? And
once we've toxified it so much that we can no longer exist, and the planet will self-cleanse.
Absolutely. Just shake us off and it'll be done.
Now, I've seen some of this actually. I've been to places where there was some sort of civilization there before, like in Korea and in the Philippines. And, as people migrate and move and the cities build up and everybody leaves the area where they lived and they move to the area where the jobs are now, you see some of that. You see that the nature starts to take over again. Like deer are living in somebody's old living room, and they do. And then they're it's in a situation like that, they don't even care that you're there. Like
Right.
you're not startling them. They're in their home now. So that's always an interesting thing to witness when you're visiting foreign countries, which I feel like a majority of our viewers have probably done, but a majority of the country has not.
Oh no, it's like in the teens number of people that
Yeah.
have a passport. So
And
most
just because you
people,
have a passport doesn't mean that you've gone anywhere.
no, absolutely not. In fact, I think the stat is somewhere around 50%. Some might be rectifying that a little bit. That people haven't even left within 50 kilometers of their house.
Oh, wow.
Like they got their house and then they got their job, which is somewhat nearby, and then they got all the things in between, and then all their friends and everybody kind of is within a very small community of approximately 150 people. Right, Dunn's number gets kicked in, and they're comfortable, and there's no reason to leave that bubble. So yeah, absolutely. But I truly believe that there's a lot of little things that need to get done to get us off the planet. Like Elon Musk and Bezos are doing a great job, right? And some of the old school guys, right, are doing a great job of getting rockets into space and trying to find more efficient ways of doing that. But there's also there's going to be a land problem. Like spaceports needs to be a thing. Yeah, you can get rockets up and down, but you need an airport, but you need a spaceport version of an airport. And then how do you compete with airplanes?
Mm-hmm.
Because once you launch a rocket, you got to open up a hole.
Mm.
And have you ever seen what the United States looks like with all the planes going at all times?
Mm-hmm.
There's very little space for that. And then where do you have it? And how do you get people there? Huge problems, huge problems that people have to get serious about and just solving one or two of these at a time.
Well, here's the dichotomy of the situation from my point of view is you're saying that we have to leave the planet to save ourselves from ourselves. So what happens when we get to the space station where everything's perfect and we're living in a geodesic dome and all of the plants are living exactly the way they're supposed to be, and we've recreated nature, and then we put the human in there again? What happens inside that geodesic dome? Do we only allow the Elon Musks to go because they're the only ones who are aware enough to not destroy the new society? How do you?
Well, that's what Elysium was. You saw the movie Elysium?
Yeah, sort of. It had
Matt Damon.
It had the tribute to Hillary Clinton in there. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
He's like, kill them all, save ourselves. I was like, whoa.
So that's what Elysium, that movie, that's where they were thinking. But actually, what I think happens if everybody chip in. So assume that in mass, we as humanity have decided to take this thing on. It's not by the sheer effort of doing something like that, we will change. Because we can't remain who we are to do the things that we need to do.
So it's like the mindset change that you and I were talking about earlier.
Exactly. Because who I am, like for instance, who I am today it's an equation. I get everything because of who I am. I don't have things that I don't have, right? Because it's not who I am yet. Now, once I change the mindset of who I am, now all the other stuff changes with it.
Okay, so culturally, how long does this idea live once you have made that change? 2 generations?
Well, hopefully it becomes embedded in the way. I mean, we can always de-evolve. That doesn't take
the Egyptian the Israelites left Egypt, and as soon as they crossed the river, they started complaining that they had nothing to eat. Like it's human nature for us to carp and complain and say there's not enough, and look out for ourselves and screw everyone else. So how long culturally does that live within the group of people have now moved from Earth to a planetoid or the geodesic dome on the moon, and now their children are born and they've always lived in the dome.
Yeah, like our kids, how they always had the internet.
Right.
Right, like they don't know anything other than being connected.
That's right.
Type of thing. They don't know the trial and tribulations of a pager, and things like that. They have no idea.
Yeah, and I'm guessing a bottle rocket in a dome like that is probably a bad idea. So 4th of July is out.
Oh. Take that outside.
Yeah, right. That works. I can't light it. There's no atmosphere. All right. So
but what would have to happen is, now this is why, so you need to consistently, constantly be under pressure to take the shape of that pressure's requirement. So if we are seeking to go off world, right, as a species, that's because the pressure to do so is now do or die. And people are forced to do this type of thing. And then they're going to get comfortable, and then they're going to be that's still pressure, right? It's a different type of pressure now, but it's still a pressure type. And so the people who are living off world versus those who remained, they have different pressures, and those pressures will shape who they are. If you take those that are spacefaring, and you push them out even further, asteroid belt mining, they might be a little bit tougher, right, as a group over a generation than those that are maybe left at home and on Earth here, terra firma, kind of hanging out in the gardens. Like those two people meet again, technically the same, but because of the pressure of having to survive in such austere conditions, and mine at that, versus hanging out in botanical gardens all day, the pressures have shaped them differently. Mm-hmm. One might be more into philosophy and ideas and things like that, which is fine. And the other one may be physically tougher and able to get things done faster.
So one's a West Virginian coal miner and the other's a city boy from New York.
We see it every day.
Different kinds of tough.
Yeah, it's the pressures. Like we will evolve. One of our greatest superpowers is our adaptation capability. We're the only species on the planet that could be anywhere and live. No other species can do that. It's our power of adaptation. And so between us and the dogs, right? Us and the wolves, technically, they can hang out with us. But no other real species can do that. And so what's going to end up happening, we'll just adapt continuously to whatever those pressures are.
So besides waiting for Elon Musk to figure it all out, what can we do now to protect ourselves or from having to do this kind of thing, or to further the process along so that we're prepared for it?
Well, I personally believe that no matter whatever direction somebody wants to go, it's about leadership. It's about not being a passive spectator, but being a participant in a process, whatever that is for you. I mean, there's so many different options out there. Personally, I want to normalize spaceports. I want to make spaceports so regular that it's just like going to a bus stop. Like, oh, I guess I'm going to the spaceport today. And people just wander around on it. You scan their thing and they get on a space shuttle and they go up to the gateway that's up there. And it's just like whatever, right? It's just, oh man, that took 30 minutes extra. What the hell? Like I want them to be bitching about the extra time it takes, because somebody had lost something or whatever, something stupid like there is today. It should be completely normal, because until we get to that level, we're not gonna get there. So what could other people do? Well, they can enable our time here a little longer. That'd be great, right? The way we recycle things, China, due to the trade wars, right, with China currently, they've stopped taking all of our garbage, which a lot of people don't even know that China is one of the biggest importer of U.S. garbage at cost. So we ship them our garbage instead of putting them in our landfills, and they either landfill them or recycle them there. Huge industry. And they, as part of the trade, has whammoed that. And after 2 years, is actually starting to have a severe impact on our waste management structure and system. And so there's lots of problems that need to be solved right there. Now we have a new pressure. Fine, China. We'll take responsibility for our own garbage, Raj. What can we do? Right? Do we need to use plastic bottles? I mean, what can we create an algae that eats plastic? I mean, like there's got to be something, but until somebody decides that that's a problem they want to solve, it won't be.
So this whole time that we've been complaining about China being the #1 polluter in the world, it's because we're sending them our pollution. Maybe.
That is part of it.
Yeah. All right. So feasibly, how long would it be until we are fiscally able to commute back and forth through your spaceports?
To get to the spaceports or to get off the spaceport?
No, until they're so regular that they're bus stations.
Yeah. So infrastructure is really what's required, because right now every spaceport is in the middle of effing nowhere, and so for you to even get to a spaceport, there needs to be high-speed transport to get you to and from.
So when you say spaceport, to me, I'm thinking Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Oh no, I wish it was Fort Lauderdale, Florida. No, we're talking about White Sands, New Mexico, where Spaceport America is. Whitefield or something, Alaska, which is like a nook on a nook type of thing. California had in the Mojave Desert. That's another spaceport.
I grew up there.
Yeah, so these are not like they purposely put them in places where there's not a lot of population in case something catastrophic goes wrong.
And we used to try and watch the shuttle come in for landing. Couldn't tell if it was 747 or what, but right. Hey, I think that's the shuttle.
It's got rooms and that must be it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's the so we need hyperloops, we need transportation, we need industries around these things. Did you know who the one of the richest individuals on the planet ever was an Irishman, and what he did with his wealth was make Ireland now one of the leading tech industries in the world, because he built like a whole bunch of colleges with that money. You know how he earned that money?
No idea.
Duty-free stores in the airports.
Oh, wow.
Every single one. It's all him.
And they're all a problem. They're a huge problem. No, they really are, because the way a duty-free store is set up is you go into the airport, you purchase all your stuff, and then you take it on the plane, which makes the plane heavier, which burns more fuel. But when you get off the plane, they don't let you go to the duty-free stores. They shuttle you right through customs and you leave. All they have to do is turn it around so that as you land, you can go through the duty-free stores. You don't have to carry any of that stuff on the planes with you.
Look at you. Problem solved.
Right?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. But I'm saying, like, we need industries to spurn up, around these ideas. The duty-free store was just an idea taken from the old ports, essentially, right? When there was a duty-free zone around a port, which is why there was always a lot of commerce that happened right there on the docks.
And tea parties.
And eventually tea parties. Yeah.
All right,
anyway,
so
it's all the same.
So then what is the what's the future of the workforce if the spaceport bus station becomes a reality?
So there's a lot of stuff that's going to change, obviously, right? We're not going to do a lot of the things that we as a species do today. Robots are going to do a lot. Automation is going to do the rest, and AI will handle that all. So that will leave. The only thing AI can't do and robots can't do yet that we know of is self-create. So really, what we'll need is more creators, right? And so people like yourself who, design an entire rig, to be able to create content and share information and share knowledge, share ideas, like that whole thing, or build systems around that. That is like, how do we elevate our mindset, can only be done through conversation. So whatever processes that are out there today and in the future to do that will be the magic.
So I feel like setting up a mothership like this, my captain's chair and everything, something like this could be recreated. It could be automated. What cannot be recreated and automated to me is empathy. Like having this conversation between two machines, it's all bytes and the ones and zeros, you know, there's no empathy there. So to me, I feel as though the future of the workforce is having people who can understand where somebody's coming from, what their feelings are, and that have that empathy there. That's why, you know, support gets such a bad rap, right? Like you work in support, everybody hates you, and it takes so long to get an answer, and you can't fix my problem. And everybody that goes to support goes there with a problem.
Right.
But it's the good support staff who says, hey, you know what? I understand this is frustrating, and I'm here to help you fix it. And then you're just like, I'm so relieved. A computer can't do that for you.
Right. In fact, I recently had an experience with the stupid telephone thing, trying to automated system, trying to get to, not necessarily, I didn't even necessarily need to talk to a human, but just to get through the system. And it was imperfect, which made it even worse. Right. And then speak or touch the numbers.
Oh, right.
Right. Well, okay, fine. I'm touching numbers. I'm sorry. I could not hear you. I'm touching the numbers. What is there to hear? And I realized it's dual tone, but it's just that whole, like, until I get to the human, I'm like, okay. And then of course, when I got to the first human, it was all garbage. It was all garbled, and he had to hang up after 40 minutes of me trying to get to him in the first place.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm done. Not that important. But I think you're right that the space that we'll need, our next renaissance, right, will be a digital. It's not just a digital renaissance. It's this. These are the salons of the future, right? Back in the day when the great ideas were being discussed and became the foundation of Western civilization, right? When we came out of the Dark Ages, like this, they're in the future of 50 to 100 years from now, they're going to be like, why were they living in the Dark Ages? Like, I don't understand, right? Because these conversations like this are going to become en masse and recorded and be able to be seen by anybody.
So we are the new speakeasy, where the tap houses, where the ideas and the libations are passed around.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we could do it from our comfort of our own little studios.
Right.
You know? So you create your captain's chair, I create my stool and my whiteboard, but at least that's something.
Mm-hmm.
And every person that we'll connect to will have something like that, something in between. And at some point, we'll have 10 or 15 people on here, all talking, all in their own studio, right? Because they invested just a little bit to get a decent mic,
$50 mic, right?
A $50 mic, and
just to be able to communicate. And that's, the communication portion of it to me is what's really so important. So how are you utilizing your studio, your stool, and your whiteboard to create the leaders of the future who are going to be prepared for this eventuality where we're going to have to move off planet to survive?
Ooh, man, that is a really good question. That's a really good question. I would say I've had the stool for a while now, and the whiteboard is new. Finally got that configured out. I think that I'll tell you what I've been trying to do, and I've been modeling, right? So I saw other people do this idea. I was like, you know what? Let's see what that means. Let's see what that means for me. And I'm a big John Maxwell guy, right? I'm certified in at least his 6 core classes. And so what I've been doing is taking Leadership Gold, which is one of the core ones I use anyway, and providing a weekly class online for free through Facebook Live about the chapters in Leadership Gold, right? Doing a mastermind type of thing. Like, I believe that it's important to do it, so I show up and I do it, but people don't necessarily show up to watch it.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it could be just my marketing, right? I think the noise level in the digital realm is so high that it's very hard to get it unless you are one of the loudest ones, or you already have a very selective following that they will tune into your channel. And I think that's key, right? Everybody is a producer of some sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Either you do radio, podcasts, TV shows, this video, or your magazine, newspaper, a blog, type of thing. All those are super valid. But right now I have cable. I have no idea what's on what channel. And I have no idea if there's a TV show that I would like to see happening right now. I have no idea about that. And I feel that that's the same problem that people are going to have about when everybody is a producer of some sorts.
So too much information, too many places to get it.
Yeah. And, I think there's, I've heard two theories about this, and you can tell me which one you think is the best. And, I don't know. Right. I've kind of gone both ways, and I'm equally successful in both directions. One direction, they say, is, look, you should take the liberal arts approach. Be holistic in what you're doing. And in that and being that holistic, you are solving complex problems. Okay, I like the idea, right? And that's kind of how I operate on a day-to-day. But people ask, so what do you do? Right? And now it takes more than 3 seconds to talk about, what do I do? And I've actually, thanks to you, actually. So just we'll talk about this sub niche thing for a minute, because I still am that holistic approach. My new catchphrase is maximize your impact by unleashing your talents without compromising your time. And when I said that phrase in a pitch to my mentors, my business mentors, on Boots to Business for the VA, they all loved it. Like, they said that resonated tremendously with them. So thank you, Chris, for that. Right. I know you helped me whittle down something that was this big.
Yeah.
Right. Into something more succinct.
Right. You're welcome. And so I feel like I have been through much of this myself. I mean, I've been working online since 2012 in some capacity. And when I first started, I had absolutely no idea what direction I was going to go in. I knew I wanted to be a photographer. Like, I loved photography. And the way that I fell into that is because I loved creative writing. So how do you tie the two together? I got a job with the National Guard because I went in and I did an interview with them, and they were hiring for a photojournalist. And they said, well, what is it that you want to do? Heads up, we have plenty of people who think they're photographers. And I said, I'm not even interested in the photography part. I really want to write. I love creative writing. And so the commander gave me a little mission, very difficult though, to go home and write about myself. And I had to turn in an essay to him about me to see if I could get hired for the position. So I did. I went home and I wrote it. And it wasn't journalistic style. It was just I liked to write, so I went home and I wrote some stuff. And I went back in and I gave it to him, and he thought it was great. and he hired me. The sergeant major thought I was great and hired me because I was an Audie Murphy member. He's like, I already looked at your resume. I know what you've done. You're golden with me. We got to get past. We got to get past the commander. And the commander was, because it's you know, the National Guard. You have real jobs, and then you go play Army on the weekend, right? He was a professional photographer. He worked for Reuters,
wow.
and it was like, so I had this challenge to go introduce myself to this guy who was doing this every day. And, you know, they'd fly him to Hawaii and stuff to go do stories, and they'd fly him out to DC to go do stories. And
Wow.
And then I show up in Seattle and I'm like, yeah, I want to be a photojournalist, right? So he's like, sure you do. But no, I did. And I got the part, and then they sent me to school here in Maryland. That's how I found out about Maryland. And when I got back and really started the job, they loved my photography. Like, there was stories to write, and what they really liked was that I could do both, right? Like, I could go out and take the pictures and write the stories about the pictures. So instead of sending a team, they could just send one person. So that saved them a lot of time. And there turned out to be a lot of jobs that they had to do on the side that had nothing to do with our weekend drill, because stories don't always happen one weekend a month, right? So I went
Weird.
and yeah. So I went in like as often as I could, because I opened a photo studio. I cashed out 2 retirement checks and said, I'm doing this now. I'm buying the gear.
Oh, wow.
I'm going online, and I'm opening a studio. And I did all of it. Like, had no idea how to run a business. I had no idea how to do anything online. And I was completely overwhelmed, but I work well on the edge of overwhelm. So, it was a lot of fun. I learned a ton, but I still needed to earn money. So I went back to what I knew, which was being a helicopter mechanic. And I went back over to Korea, and I, you know, put some more money in the bank. And then, but I had that seed planted now. Like, I had all of the gear already. I had the online studio. I had the storefront already built. And so I was still working that on the side while I was working as a helicopter mechanic and building that up, and then say, hey, you know what? I need this little piece. I need click funnels so that people will come and find my product. And I need, you know, I need to build a team. I need to meet other people online, and I need to go to these sales conferences. And then I get to a sales conference, and I'm like, I thought sales conferences were guys standing around in suits smoking cigarettes and drinking, you know, but this was like a rock concert. I mean, it was amazing. Like, all of these people are so fired up, and they're so excited, and they're all talking about God. And that was the part that really, like, it tipped me over the edge, because where I worked, being around the military all the time and being around all of these staunch people, and the, you know, you have the EO issues where if you talk too much about your religion, then, you know, you could get an EO complaint because you're trying to sway somebody, or you're talking bad about their religion because you talking positive about your own. These crazy, ridiculous ideas that have no basis in reality. That's where I worked. And if you brought up God at work, you could easily get fired. And every Tuesday when we had our meetings, the first thing they said is, if you guys got anything to complain about, we're happy to buy you a ticket back to the States. You don't have to work here.
Nice.
Every week. That was the threat.
It's BT dub.
Just trying to do our job. So I was very fortunate. I got a job working as a photographer because I had all that stuff online. And then a headhunter called me and said, hey, we need a photographer in Korea to work on the military post for the military. And it was like twice the money and half the hours. And I was in charge of myself. And I learned that I could do most of this from my desk, because what people don't know about photography is it takes about 1/120th of a second to take a photo, and then it takes hours to process it and put it online and upload it and everything like that. So, yeah, you know, I would go out to the hospital every day to take the photos, and it'd take me about 4 hours to go through and do 1,000 photos, and then I would go home and I'd have to process all those photos and put them online, and that was the other half of my work day. So it was a really cool experience, but it really introduced me to this fact that I didn't have to be out in a workforce punching a clock, and that there's other opportunities out there. So, but when these guys started talking about God, I was like, you can speak freely. I mean, that's what being in the military is supposed to be about, upholding the Constitution.
No. We defend the Constitution.
Okay, well, I like to use the word upholding.
Uphold. Yes, we uphold.
Yeah.
We defend it. We don't necessarily have to practice it.
Yeah. No,
right?
It's crazy. It's crazy, the outlook. So when all of these people were so open about how they achieved success through the grace of God, like I wouldn't have been able to do this on my own. I had help from a higher power. To me, that was mind-blowing. Like all these other guys
to be so free with their words,
so open about it.
And open about it.
Yeah. And that every one of them had that story. Like it wasn't a fluke. Like there might have been the oddball guy who was like, I made $6 million last year and I'm an atheist. but like that's not the standard. That's not the norm. Right. It doesn't matter what the religion is. It just matters that they have that belief that there is some power outside of what they can do, something greater than them that is helping them to achieve their goals. So in that, I learned affiliate marketing, and I learned drop shipping and everything like this. And I wanted to try a little bit of everything. I wanted to know about all of it. So I spent about 6 years really in depth studying it. And now, like some of the stuff that I've been working on, I didn't even know that, like the Google, what is it called? I got here, Google Guides. So yeah, I've been talking about Google Maps on my last two Facebook Lives, and that's cool, right? Talking about Google Maps, putting my business on the map, and then I was going in and looking at how well my business was doing on that map. In going through that, I realized that I'm a local guide, and I kind of knew that I was a local guide because I'd go to a restaurant and I'd get a little thing from Google saying, do you have any photos for this place, or would you leave a review?
Oh, so at some point your profile was identified by Google
because I've shared so many images of places that I've been
that were geotagged.
That's right.
Got you.
So it turns out I've had over like 860,000 views of my photos.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm a level 6 local guide, which is actually a really big deal, because once you reach level 5, you can make changes on the Google map without having them verified by Google. So you're a trusted Google person, right? And then it turns out that if you share 360 photos, if you share 50 of them, they could invite you to be a trusted photographer for Google. And I've already shared 24, just my travels around the world, and like, hey, I got this cool little 360 camera. I went to the airport, I took a picture, I uploaded it to Google, right? I've done 24 of those without even considering it. But once you're a trusted Google photographer, then you can go to businesses and do like interior tours for the businesses and help them get SEO rankings so that they can get better leads through their posts.
And whoa. It's not just getting, I mean, if, for instance, here's a comparison. I grab my brand new iPhone 1000 that does 360, things.
Right.
I'm in Hagerstown. I come up, I'm going to do his job. Watch this. Go to the business. Look, I did a 360 photo. I upload it. You do the same thing with your stuff. it's a different deal because it's
Mhm.
you that did it.
Right. And Google will, they'll advertise for you. So if a business goes online and says, I need an interior tour of my my location, who is a trusted photographer that I can hire, then they'll send leads from the local area to that business.
Really?
Yeah.
That's super interesting because that is exactly what LinkedIn does
Oh wow.
under its Pro Finder thing. So
But you have to
LinkedIn,
pay for that.
no.
It's like $60 a month
Well,
to be.
well, I paid it one time, so to get the business right. So I'm a business, whatever. I didn't pay that. That just ends up being a second thing. Like that's not part of their. Like that's not part of the package, as far as I know. Um, like I got to see it from a different point of view, you know.
Right.
But like the only thing that I signed up for the Pro Finder. They had to validate my account and
Mm-hmm.
validate my activity of yes, you are, at least you appear to be a coach of some sorts. Okay, Raj. They shoot me links to give advice. And so people are asking random questions. I'm not even sure how they're doing it. I think when you post on LinkedIn, you have an option to say ask an expert.
Right, right.
And so LinkedIn kind of gathers all these questions and then refarms it out to its somewhat trusted people, and how well you interact with people, it senses that.
Mm.
And so I'm
In the
constantly
algorithm,
getting
right.
more advice things, and straight up, I'm looking for a coach like this to help me with these problems. They had to fill out a form, and then they have an option to bid right to that person who I didn't even know existed, like that
Right.
TV show, right? 10 minutes ago. In fact, I closed the guy tonight in 30 minutes because of that.
By text, you
He
said.
came I did it by text. That
Yeah.
is true.
Which is
So I
awesome.
found
That means that you didn't even have to take a phone call.
nope, no phone call.
Right. That's awesome.
No phone call at all. But
So
I found out about them because of the trustedness that LinkedIn has with me in my
right.
profile. They even offered, and we'll go to that in a second, but LinkedIn shot me a note saying, hey, next year we're offering a service, a resume reviewing service. And if you want to partner with us, we will subcontract to your
Mm.
company.
Mm.
That's a whole nother level,
Yeah.
right? Not just like feed me leads that no. KeyBravo and LinkedIn are now venture partnered to help solve resume problems and career problems
That's
for people
awesome.
on LinkedIn. Yeah. That means I need to get like you need all the business stuff squared. Your
Yeah.
accounting, your insurance, like your bank, all that stuff has to be, because you're not working with one of the biggest companies in the world.
Right. So LinkedIn is still kind
Interesting.
of hazy to me. Like I go in there and I can't find anything. I can't figure out how to get. I created a business site on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried to upload a photo to it, and it was like you can upload photos from your phone but not your desktop. And then I was like, well, that's stupid because all of my photos at the time were on my desktop. Now all my photos are on my phone, so that's okay. I can do it that way. But it's like if I wanted to go to groups, you can go to groups on your desktop but not your phone. And I'm like, this is like it's like the 80s dial-up thing trying to
Yeah,
get through LinkedIn.
it
And
is.
so
It is.
that's the reason I've always ignored it, but I know that it's super important. I mean, I have 750 contacts on LinkedIn or so.
Uh-huh.
So I'm doing pretty good in that area, but I don't feel like they're really refined. It's just been all of my travels and everything that I've been learning, and all along the way I've picked up new contacts who know this or know that,
Yeah.
and we can help each other out. But the point of what I started with, saying I started as a writer so that they asked me to take photos, and then I loved it so much that I started my own studio, and then got my business online and everything like that, and then all the other stuff that I learned is that through all of this, what I really learned, and what you were talking about earlier, is the importance of being able to have that laser pointed niche.
Right. And that's the second version, right, of what I've been working with. One, the liberal arts version, and then the second one is it's they call it the long tail, right? Because there is some guy, his name is Bob, Bob is 32 years old and is a mechanic. He lives in a small town of 400 people. Bob exists exactly as I'm talking about him.
Right.
I've never met Bob, but Bob does exist because he's part of the long tail, right? He's not the guy that you would see at Target, in the mass consumption and the big fiery ball of the comet. Because long tail, right, is of a comet, right? So you got everything burning up hot. Everybody's all hot about whatever, but there's this tail that's almost infinite, and you can sell to anybody along the tail instead of trying to get everybody in the fireball.
Yeah, that makes sense, because one of the classes that I'm studying right now, he was saying, and about the maps, he was saying once you learn how to put a business on maps, and if you have that level 5 or above where you can just add a business, then what he's saying is you could add a business to gain leads, build up that business, do the long version, go in there, start getting leads to that business, and then sell those leads. Say it's dentistry, right? Like you put up a shell dentist office somewhere. I'm in Hagerstown, and when you start getting calls because you're starting to rank through the SEO of Google Maps, which is much easier to rank on than ranking for Google itself, right? And as soon as you pull up Google, the first thing that pops up is a map with a 3-pack. And that 3-pack is the top 3 businesses that are close to you as you're searching for something. So if you end up in that 3-pack, you're going to start getting calls from people like, hey, I gotta get a root canal, like my tooth just chipped in half. You get a call like that, and then you call up, Bird's Dental and say, I got a hot lead for you, what's it worth? Or I get leads like this every day. I'll sell them to you for $1 a lead. And you can even go, there's apps that you can use to go to find out, or go to Google AdWords and find out what it costs for a dentist to run and get a lead through Google AdWords. Say it's $2.50, right? But you're getting leads in through SEO, so you can call them up and say, I'll give you leads for $1.50 a piece.
Right.
And then you can tie the phone number on your ad or your maps location directly to them, and you can record the calls. So you can say, I'm the one that gave you these leads. You owe me, $300 a month. And then you have 5 businesses like that somewhere in America, and you're getting $1,500, $3,000 a month, and you can just scale it. And it's pretty awesome and amazing. That's what I've been looking at and studying for the last couple of weeks, and it's been pretty mind-blowing. But the part that's really mind-blowing about it is that I already know so much of the stuff. And it's nothing that I've ever considered before. Like it has nothing to do with photography. It has nothing to do with ClickFunnels, although it did click, no pun intended, in my mind today. I did have that little bit of an epiphany that what if not only having the phone number up there, but having the ability to create a landing page in 15 minutes and have somebody go directly to that landing page through ClickFunnels. That's another way to gather leads, right? So now I'm covering 2 bases. I've got the phone numbers coming in, and I've got physical leads coming in where people give me their email address or, whatever information I ask for on there for whatever purpose. So the ClickFunnels could definitely help out with that business model and help it scale. So that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but well, it's just interesting, right? So when you start super niching, right? Super niching, there's a market for that. And what I've realized is if you're going to super niche, that's awesome. But because you're looking for Bob in population 200, who's interested in the Razorbacks and red crayons, like, okay, hey Bob, I got a red crayon. You got my attention.
Right.
Hey, do you like the Razorbacks? Yes. Hey, I got a thing to help you. Oh, really? Show me. Boom, Bob is sold. But I need to know those very, very, very specific things, those combination of things that locked him in to even having the conversation. So if you're going to go super niche, you need to have, if you're going to scale, your scale now is how many niches do you have?
Well, it could be how many niches do you have, or how many cities are you going to recreate your cookie cutter business in? So you're super niching for Bob with a red crayon. What this course is teaching is you don't want to go for the, concert tickets or all of these things that are super saturated, because those things are already apparently locksmiths are extremely saturated, and there was some real legal issues around people creating shell locksmith companies because of the security of being a locksmith, right? And the information that you could get from someone by having a spammed site. Before Google Maps, they had another before Google Business, they had another program that they were talking about that apparently somebody just went through, and every street corner they put up a locksmith company, and they were getting all of the leads. Like there was no way to deal with it. And then it went to court, and they, Google had to spank everybody and get rid of all of those. But
wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's just super interesting to me how, there's so much information out there, like you were saying, and you want to reach out to the people who aren't necessarily being tended to as a mass, poodle grooming, right? If you're in a big city, you're in New York or something, how many poodle groomers are there in each little like I want to say village. I've been in Korea too long. What's the word for it? Sure. What's an area?
Neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The stealing your nose thing. That's it. Neighborhood. So in each neighborhood, how many poodle groomers are there? And then, you probably not going to have as many poodle groomers in Queens. It might not be as popular there as it is like I don't know, upstate or somewhere else where there's a big congregation, or wherever the big houses are in New York. I don't even know. I'm not even from the West or the East Coast. I don't know why I ended up living here, but I love it. I love Maryland. It's a beautiful place to live.
Well, and so like even when I was as I was over the last year and a half, I've taken my coaching program from a much more holistic viewpoint. Now I operate holistically, so I don't think like that's changing. But what is changing, and why I was able to close this due today in like 30 minutes, was because I niched down. I have now 6 niches, essentially, and he tapped right squarely into career advancement. Like he wanted to advance in his career. Right. He had a clear vision of what that looked like, which is all the work. And I was like, dude, we can work together. Like, what's your biggest obstacle right now that you're having problems with? He goes, I'm having issues with this. It's like permission to advise. What do you got? Boom, boom, boom. I told him on text the best way to kind of get through this little tactical situation. He goes, that's awesome. That makes no sense. And I go, hey, I want to take you right down your career path. If this is what's preventing you, I can help you there. So this is what it is. And went around and I sold it to him. And at the end, I closed them. And he's fully onboarded.
Nice.
Type of thing.
Nice.
And which is also part of my problem too, right? I haven't, like, as I've grown my practice, I've also had to grow my business sense, right? Because I think that's like, you're a great photographer, a great writer. You had to learn the online thing. You had to learn the business sense
for
piece,
sure.
Right. And even for myself, I was able to do that because I was like, no, I'm just not giving up on them. Literally, I'm just not giving up on you. I'm like, okay, cool. We're here. Let's get you in the system right now.
So Stephen Larson is a fantastic marketer who I study under. And one of the things that he says is to write your offers for somebody who knows what their problem is and they're frustrated because they haven't found the solution. So many people who start marketing try to market to people who don't know they have a problem in the first place. And that is very difficult because you have to educate your audience to the problem that they don't know that they have.
Yeah.
Whereas he says, you know, they call it red ocean, blue ocean. Red ocean being there's so many people in here that it's saturated, and they found out that like say multi-level marketing, for instance, right? MLMs is really super saturated, and they've been using the same marketing techniques for at least 40 years. And they go out and they say, hey, all you got to do is tell your friends and family, and they'll get on board. And everybody knows that that doesn't work anymore. But there's still, you know, where can you start a business for $50 a year? Like, it just doesn't exist outside of the MLM world. It's still something that people are intrigued by. Like, how can I actually make this work? And everybody wants to think, well, I'm the person that's going to be able to make this work because it's worked for somebody in the past. I can make it work as well. So they get in, and then as soon as they get in, they say friends and family. They talk to 15 people. They ruin 7 or more relationships.
At least.
And then they've got no more market, and they don't know how to market. So this is now somebody who's frustrated because they're in the MLM world already. They like some of the things about the MLM world, but the problem that they have is that they don't know how to market. So if you go and approach that specific person and say, I know you're an MLMer, I know that you are selling a product and that you've reached out to your friends and family and you've ruined some relationships. I understand that. I've done the same thing myself, and I've created this marketing system where we use the internet and you don't have to talk to friends and family anymore.
Right. Red crayon, razorback.
That's right.
Right.
Hooked
Boom.
them because it's the issue that they know that they need a solution to.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have to educate them about what MLM is. I didn't have to educate them about the friends and family issues, the pains that they've already had. That's right.
Well, you know, and I think, like, if anybody sees this on the replay or if they're watching now, you know, the key to the future success, because there's 7 billion people on the planet, right? I mean, seriously, there's 7 billion people. If you can put in, if you're selling anything, you got to know exactly what you're selling. And if you have niched that down far enough, so like one of my 6 is career advancement. And I could say, on your next annual review, I want you to get that bonus. What bonus? There's a bonus. You're an employee. There's annual review. You've been promised promotions. You've been promised bonuses. But when it comes time to the annual review, for some reason, you're not getting it. And they're not really explaining to you why. Are you a paralegal? Done. Right? Like, or any other very specific, are you an executive assistant? And now it's, I'm an executive assistant. Yes, I have annual reviews. Yes, they promised me promotions and bonuses, and no, I didn't get anything.
Right.
I work my tail off, and I don't know why I'm not getting all these things. You can help me. I can help you.
Right.
And whatever, right? It's a system.
At that point, it's not even a sale.
It's an app. Whatever, right? They're going to take it.
Yeah. At that point, it's not even a sale. It's offering a solution.
Exactly. And that's what you were saying before about offering a highly tailored solution to the individual that already knows their problem and their issues. When they know what's going on, they just don't have the solution part. And you just go, you with the red crayon, here's your solution. I have a solution. Cool. How do I get it? After that again is long tail, because you're not trying to market to the masses.
Right. You're
marketing to Sarah, the executive assistant and an automotive car dealership for Lexus. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So now that you've had
every Tuesday, I mean,
now that you've had the experience of bringing somebody in and having exactly what they were looking for, you can go back and rewrite who your perfect audience is. Who have you created this offer for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that what ended up happening in this case, it actually validated when I did that in a previous process. So I had a previous moment where I did a survey against everybody that I was working with. And I asked them, well, what is the real problem? And it actually filtered out to 3 things: career advancement, job search, because they don't like the job they're in, or side hustle, because they want to bring in a little extra income. They're okay with their job, but they need a little bit more income. And they feel like they're capped out at their job. Over and over again, those are the same 3 that kept popping up. And so I designed my programs around those 3 bits for that one program. Right? So everybody that fits in that bigger category, they have one of these 3 problems,
Mm-hmm.
and they know it.
Yeah.
Because they've identified it. It's an easy.
And now these are the people that you are attracting to you, rather than having to go out and hunt for them.
Absolutely, because I think what happens is that your profile on LinkedIn or whatever your thing is, right? Whatever you're using as your flycatcher, to me, it's my LinkedIn profile. So right now I changed my header again to say, I maximize your impact by unleashing your talents without compromising your time. That's in my header. That means every time I make a post or every time somebody messages me, they see that whole thing right there underneath my name.
Nice.
And they go, who the hell is this guy? They go to my profile, and in my about section is my sales letter.
Mm-hmm.
Tells them everything there is to know about me and about how to work with me and what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then the conversations happen.
Right.
Right. And I'm not having conversations with people who haven't already gone through that process.
Right. Exactly. So you've pre-screened them.
They're already pre-screened.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Just by the nature of the organic way the social media works. Not because I set up a system. For that particular group, I did not set up a system. It's just a natural organic system. I have another program that is all about, I'm not working with you. It's all about 100%, you're not the right person to work with. And I'm turning people away because the investment is too high for myself that I am not going to work with anybody that's not 100%. So I'm not even going to entertain it, type of thing. And so I set up a process to filter out the majority of the people so that if you make it through that process, then you are truly committed to your change.
So are you using surveys or interviews or
combination? You got to find it first. And that's one. So you got to be searching for it, is what I'm saying.
Right.
You shouldn't just happen to stand. Yeah, you might, but you shouldn't just happen upon it. It's only because you're being deliberate and you find it in the first place. That's the first. The second thing, I tell you up front, there's an application process and I only accept 10. So after 6 months, a 6-month program or 2 90-day blocks, once they're out of the program or if somebody drops out, I can add somebody else, but I can only do 10 at a time. And there's an application form, right? So they go in, they can do the application. And honestly, when they do the application, they'll be like, yeah, this is not me. It's designed specifically not to apply to me. You're not applying for me. You're applying to you.
For the people who are searching for, this kind of leadership guidance, where can they go to find out more about you?
About me specifically?
You and your programs.
The best place is LinkedIn. Absolutely. The best place.
Search for Ken Barrios
Kenneth
on
C.
LinkedIn.
Barrios II. Yeah, Kenneth C. Barrios II. You put that in there, you'll see my face. I'm the only one. My dad's in there. He's senior. So if he looks old, not me.
Yet.
Which is funny. He has hair. I don't.
Oh,
so.
wow.
but yeah. No, you see me on LinkedIn. That is probably the best to learn about who I am, about what I do. Yeah. I have, I have course landing pages for my programs. I don't know if this is the place for that. But
Sure. If you want to mention your website, that's totally fine.
I wish I
Give
had
people
some.
your home address, whatever
I
you
know,
want to
right?
do.
Phone number, credit card number, and my social security. It is.
Drop
Oh,
a
wait a minute.
blood right there on the.
I'm an idiot. I got a whiteboard.
You got a whiteboard right there.
I'm like, I need a place to type this out. So for everybody watching, this is a new thing for me, having this whiteboard up here. The very first time I did a Facebook, the very first comment somebody told me was, hey, you need to have a whiteboard. It only took me a year and a half to figure it out. So I'm going to direct people to the first coaching program, right? So it's www.keybravo.com/leaderfit-coaching. You read that? Does that work?
Yeah. I can read it.
Yeah. Leader fit, one word.
But then I am trained in reading NCO.
You are trained. Yeah. Well, this is interesting because I never know how big to write based on the sizes of the screen. So this is actually a pretty good moment. There we go. Look at that. Dash coaching. So yeah, all one word. There's the slashes before it. KeyBravo is before that. Leader fit dash coaching. New splash page for that. That is not the one where I am telling people to go away. This happens to be the one where I closed today on the text. Because as I got my 3 programs squared away for that, career advancement.
This is the one where you're welcome. Pull on up a chair and a hot cup of cocoa. And
yeah, pretty much.
We'll have some Christmas stories because it's Christmas Eve in a couple of hours. All right. I also put it in the comments below. So
thank you.
If you're on the 1000 Dad Jobs Facebook page and watching the recording, or if you're seeing this on YouTube or somewhere else, it'll be on the 1000 Dad Jobs page on Facebook. And of course, if anybody is out there with any questions for Ken Barrios or myself, just put the questions in the comments there. Even if it's a replay, I answer all questions. So we're more than happy to do that. So go ahead and drop your questions in there. Do you have anything else you want to add, Ken, before we sign off for the evening?
I don't know. It's been pretty amazing. I know when we first walked into today, again, another good, just let's have a spontaneous idea and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Which I think is the best way to do it.
Hey, I think it's really important to just talk through ideas. Like I really didn't know that we were going to talk about spaceports for a half an hour, which was really cool. Like that's a direction that you never know exactly where it's going to go or where it's going to end up. But at the same time, I talked about this when I first started vlogging, that even if you don't put it online, even if you don't put the message out there for everybody else to hear, everybody has a message. And the way you're going to get that message is by putting it out into the universe. The way that you're going to be able to learn how to express what is inside of you is by getting it on the outside. So I feel like things like this, just getting together with a buddy and chatting for a while, it's really important. And the art of conversation, sadly, has been lost between so many text apps and not writing with a pencil anymore. So I feel like it's very important for us to get together and just have conversations like this.
No, I absolutely agree. And it'd be interesting. We would get some more cats on here just I'm very curious now, like the whole salon idea, and I got a couple more monkeys now, like really thinking about what can this be, this type of time, if we just got together and just broadcasted a conversation.
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate you jumping on, and we're going to sign off for the evening. If you guys have any questions, like I said, feel free to drop them below. And we started a new YouTube channel. Super important that people go in there and follow the YouTube channel, whichever direction it is. It's not actually on here. This is Facebook, but it is also 1000 Dad Jobs, but it's going to be more difficult to find because we don't have the direct name until we go over 1000 followers. So
1,000?
No, 100. I'm sorry.
Oof.
But I would love 1000 followers. That would be great. I get stuck in that 1000 Dad Jobs routine. So that's the idea. If you guys have a chance, or if you're seeing this on YouTube, go ahead and click that. I think it's right there. The subscribe button. Right about there. All right.
Well played.
All right, guys. God bless you, and we'll see you on the next episode.
All right, man. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. And I do not know how to end this for Facebook.
I think you just end the meeting and it'll collapse.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. See, we're all learning.